Right, good evening, cheese lovers. It is Tuesday, it is cheese night. We are here. Let's get the screen out of the way. And welcome, Noemie Richard. How are you, Noemie?
Very good, very good. Hi, everyone. Thanks for welcoming another French cheese tour.
Well, it's
Yeah,
wonderful to have you back.
great. I am. The pleasure is mine. Le plaisir est pour moi. How are you doing,
So,
Charlie?
oh,
Cold?
I'm very well. I'm very well. I'm in my spare room as normal. It's bleeding cold, I'm going to say. The weather has definitely turned against me. Where are you? Are you in France or in England?
No, I'm in England. I'm in London. But yeah, enjoying the heater.
Yes, yes, I wish. So today we're going to talk about Burgundy. Burgundy is that sort of, would it be fair to say, called the central Rhone area?
Yes, it's the center east area of France. It's the very green area. I think we will see a map, but basically it's green region with meadows and valleys surrounded by lofty hills. There's a big national park in the center of Burgundy with incredible
Mhm.
landscape, forests, abundance of water, lakes. Yeah, and the soil is granitic, that which allow the creation of all these water sources. So it's a great region for cheese, but it's also a wonderful area to visit and not that known. We generally know lots of gourmandy, Burgundy for its gastronomy, but the area is also a great one to travel and hike for those who like it.
I mean, we can't talk about Burgundy with mentioning that it does have a couple of good vineyards.
It does. It does. I think it's more than 80 different vineyard names and in a way PDO of wine just in this region. Like
Uh-huh.
obviously there are main grape varieties, Chardonnay, Pinot, but just with these varieties we have more than 80 different PDO, Chateau appellation. It's worth the visit, and it requires time and no
Yeah,
car.
no. We were lucky enough, my wife and I, to drive back right up the Rhone, right down from the Mediterranean, going up to north until we got to Champagne, and then we cut across to Calais. And we were borrowing our brother-in-law's whatever it's called, people carrier. You know, one of those big slidey doors, and the back suspension just went with every vineyard we visited as we shoveled in more and more wine as we were heading north. It is the most amazing area. But let's talk cheese. It doesn't have a huge number of cheeses, does it?
You say it does or it doesn't?
It doesn't. No, there aren't like dozens of cheese from that region.
So yeah, it's not the biggest cheese area in France, but because we mostly know the region for their PDOs, for their big denomination and the big regional names. But it actually does have plenty of small farm name, lots of historical cheese made in abbeys, and still today, the monks in certain area of Burgundy still make cheese in the abbeys, but they're very small productions. They're very not really known name, but we do find a lot. We'll see that many of the cheese are inspired from one of the most emblematic cheese of France, the Epoisse. But we can also find some very unique varieties, such as the Vézelay, which is a small bowl of soft ripened cheese. We have also some crottin of goat cheese. We find quite a lot of goat milk in Burgundy. So there is small varieties, not that known as its big ambassador, which is the Epoisse, which we were
Mhm.
showing. This is the really big production and the very known. and renowned out of Burgundy region, and it does actually originated for its specific technique and recipe. It originated many derivatives, and yeah, that's the whole point of today, to talk about this washed rind cheese family, and to talk about how was it born and how the Epoisse history was. So yeah.
So last week we talked with Rupert Linton, who's a Spanish cheese expert, and we tasted the Cabrales, which is one of the biggest flavored cheeses in Spain, right? It feels to me that if although it's a completely different type of cheese, if there was a title for the biggest flavored cheese in France, Epoisse might get it. It is the big one, isn't it? It's got huge flavors when it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's for many people, Epoisse is the one you put at the end of the tasting.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, well, we're gonna go into the deep end. But before we go any further, I heard, now tell me if this is true, Epoisse is banned on French public transport for being too smelly. Is that true, or is it one of those stories that just goes around the internet?
So I think it's a legend. To be honest,
that is so bad.
I have never formally checked, to be honest. However, I think, and that's a good point you mentioned. I think the legend is with the maroilles, which is another very flavory, if I can tell.
Okay,
which is
I'm going to put it out there. I can see that we've got Alison watching us tonight, amongst others. Alison, I'm putting on you. You need to Google this for us. Is Epoisse banned on French transport? Now, while we're doing that, so let's have a look at this little monster cheese. Very distinctive, very distinctive. I was just showing it there. I'm keeping my fingers off it. So just give me the rundown. What sort of size can Epoisse be? And talk to me about the rind. Just get me going on this.
Yeah. So Epoisse is we have two variety of Epoisse. The one that you're showing, which is 250 grams, the small format, but you can also find Epoisse in bigger format of 900 grams. So kind of wheels to more for daily counter. And the Epoisse has this color, as we said, because of a specific technique which actually come from this area, come from Burgundy. We have to think about, when we talk about Epoisse, that its history started back in the 15th century. It started during the monasteries. Like I would say 70% of the cheese in France actually started in monasteries where the monk had access to education, religious community, built there many recipes. And we have to wait the 17th century for the production going away from, expanded from the monasteries to the farms. And Epoisse has been one of these big cheese at the time. When we got to the 19th century, it was more than 30 farms producing this cheese, which was quite a lot at the time. And the monk developed a recipe that was allowing and in accordance to their rhythm of life. So basically, they had cycle of rhythm of life of 8 hours for studying, for praying, and for working. So they set up the process depending on these cycles of 8 hours. That's why we find the coagulation of the Epoisse is very specific and it's very long. It's 16 hours. Why? Because we have this process. And today we find that these processes are fundamental to allow a great ripening and a slow ripening of the curd. But it came from the coincidence of the monk lifestyle. And the interesting story with the Epoisse is that after the two wars, many farmers had to leave their farm, and obviously during the war they went to fight for the country. And almost 90% of the Epoisses production literally disappeared after
I heard
the
this,
war.
yeah.
And we have to wait the early 50s to see a gentleman back from war, Sir Berthaud. And Berthaud was coming back to the farm, nostalgic of the Epoisses flavors, memories, and he decided to produce back the cheese. And yes, 1956, I said. And so to produce the cheese, he literally imitated his grandmother and auntie, which was the only one still repeating the recipe, which because they were in the farm during the war and still repeating the recipes. And this guy, Sir Berthaud, is actually it's a legend for Burgundy because he's been the link between 500 years of tradition and our century. And nowadays, I mean, since 1970, it's been his son who learned with his father how to make the production, and which is Jean Berthaud, still owner of the Fromagerie Berthaud, and he decided to kind of highlight the characteristic of the Epoisses and participated in creating the PDO. He was part of the committee that created the PDO in 1991. And PDO definitely protecting what we know today as the Epoisses, which is exclusive from this area. But yeah, so as you said, it's really a unique product. It's got this kind of froggy skin. What if we talk about?
So let me just sum up what you just said, so make sure that I'm keeping track, because I've got to be honest, I am just
you have to stop me. You have to stop me.
Which is amazing. One of the good advantages of having a cold spare room is that the temperature in here must be about 12 degrees, which is what you want to mature this cheese. And it's been here since, it's 7 or 8, at 10 o'clock this morning. And its maturation, the one I've got here, is really looking good. So I'm going to bring that up to the camera. Can you see that, team? Come on, you can go. So I'm getting a little bit of crumbly still in the middle. It's a tiny wee biscuit to be had. But otherwise, I've got maturation all the way through, which is great.
I think.
Now, I'm going to ask you, Noemie, this rind. Now, this is technically a washed rind cheese, which means we're harnessing the power of bacteria as our ripening culture. That's what we're using to break the cheese curd down. But that can't just be bacteria that on that orange. What else?
No,
what is that? There's a mold there as well, or a yeast, is there?
Yes, it is. It is. So basically, this cheese, you have to understand that it's a UFO cheese. It's anti-academic way of making cheese. Because basically, when you do,
surely not.
It is. It is. So basically, when you do soft ripened cheese, what you want is to have the shorter maturation as possible because there's moisture in soft ripened cheese. So it's very complicated to make the maturation lasting when you have a lactic soft ripen. And this is what's done with this cheese. We make 5 weeks of maturation, which is very long, and to allow this cheese to live long life, we will create a very soft maturation development. So we will successfully develop first the yeast, and the yeast will be step by step washed in the first 2 weeks of maturation. And once the yeast developed over the rind, we will then develop the bacteria, which is the Brevibacterium linens, that gives this orangey color. So it's literally a step-by-step process of different microorganisms that will success themselves in the time and allow a soft and long-term maturation and evolution of the cheese.
So that is a yeast ripened and then bacteria ripened cheese. So is it a yeast we know? Are we talking about geotrichum, or is it something else? Or?
Yeah, this is a geotrichum. This is a geotrichum. And when we say that we wash the cheese, basically every week we will twice we will take the cheese, take a mix of water and geotrichum, the yeast, and we will wash the surface by hand. It has to be made by hand. We wash the surface of the cheese, and that will clean the yeast that was previously on the rind and create a new yeast development. So it allows a soft evolution of the cheese. After 2 weeks, we will go towards the Brevibacterium washing. So it's now water and Brevibacterium plus a small level of Mar de Bourgogne brandy, which is the element from the Burgundy terroir as well, which make this cheese very, very special and very unique in its area. And as we go washing till the last week, till the 5th week for Berthaud, we will increase the concentration of the Burgundy alcohol. And again, the fact that we put alcohol on the surface, that we wash the cheese with alcohol, has an importance in terms of the evaporation of the moisture, and it will dry the rind. So it will dry the rind to allow not to have a very sticky and wetty rind. So the alcohol, apart from giving the flavor, will literally have a technical function, and obviously will help to protect the cheese. So historically, it was first used as a preservator of the cheese.
Well, I don't know that it actually really works to get it non-sticky. This is the stickiest cheese of all cheeses. But okay, so I've just got in from Alison. She has, and I'm going to quote her here, copied from Google. Here is what it says. The stench is so potent that French law has officially banned it from the Parisian public transport system. It is a legal offense to carry it on your person in Paris on public transport. Now,
just in Paris.
That's Paris. Everybody know that Google never lies. So obviously that is true. Thank you very much, Alison. So let's one of the things I was told about washed rind cheeses, and it's true of many washed rind cheeses, is that one of the flavors that develops is a meaty flavor, sometimes an offal flavor, sometimes it's a bacon note, sometimes it's a ham note, sometimes it's a beef note, sometimes it's that liveriness, and that the monasteries that developed this, one of the reasons that they enjoyed this flavor is because they were vegetarian in their eating, and that they enjoyed that sort of fake meat, which gave the flavor. Is there any truth in that, or is that another one of those stories?
I think let's ask Google, because as far as I know, Burgundy is a very rich region in Charolais. Charolais is one of the best meat type in France. So I'm not sure we can say that they didn't eat meat. I think it was one of the main ingredients in the food.
I think that's likely to be true. I mean, I'm not put monasteries down or anything, but they were good on that.
Nowadays, it's a very good rationale to have for the cheese for vegetarian people, because it's definitely have very intense meaty notes, umami. The washing the rind really highlights the umami note. We also can find some earthy character on the rind because of the yeast work, and some straw character, slightly farmyardy character. What we don't want to get too much is ammonia. We need a little bit of ammonia. It's part of the characteristic of the rind, but not too much. If it's too intensely ammonia, it's not the right époisse you're tasting. So yes, and obviously the creaminess. But again, we are tasting it at the very perfect moment. If we were having this cheese at the beginning of its life, we would definitely see the lactic hurt dominantly on the center of the curd.
Now, one of the cheeses that I don't like quite as much as époisse is the Livarot, which is, you know, that Normandy cheese, very good cheese, but I prefer the époisse as a really good expression of washed rind. But on the Livarot, you often get that crunch, that granular texture in the rind, which I'm told comes from the migration of the calcium to the edge and the crystallization. You don't get that in Livero. It seems to avoid that kind of granular sandy effect. Why is that?
The sandy effect of the rind?
Yeah, that you get in a Livero, that kind of, you know, and it's sort of.
Yeah, again, the Livero is soft ripened, but the texture is firm, and to enter a bit into technology, it's enzymatic technology. So we're making the curd very quickly, and the maturation process is quicker as well. So we don't have a soft development. We don't have this transition of the yeast and then the Brevibacterium lineans. It's go quicker. So as you go onto the evolution of the rind, the Brevibacterium naturally will get more sandy, but this is because you have a quicker evolution. It's hard to explain in Tuesday night YouTube.
Yeah, this is not a class. It's not a dairy technical class. I'm just going to do a little bit of explanation there. When you say enzymatic coagulation, you're talking about rennet. So the Epoisse, no rennet, lactic only, Livero, rennet. The whole thing's happening faster, and we're going straight to washed rind. We are not doing this this yeast-based preparation on the way to washing the rind.
Exactly.
Oh, and that I can teach cheese. Okay.
So the more you care a cheese in the maturation room, the best the evolution of the cheese will be on your shelf or in your fridge, basically. And that's the magic of the Epoisse. Shall I talk to you about one little brother of Epoisse?
Yeah. This is this chap. Oh, no, which one are we doing here? This is.
Oh, you want to do the? Oh, yeah. I was thinking this is Alfidelis. So it's definitely inspired from Epoisse. The cheesemaker decided to create something with another regional alcohol. We all know the Chablis with the Chardonnay grape variety. So instead of using the brandy Mar de Bourgogne to wash the cheese, we will use the Chablis alcohol. And this will have an impact in the texture of the cheese. Like I open them at the same time, and this one is much more spreading over and melting. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So we lose in firmness. We have a much more creamy paste, and this is also because of the way the ingredient of which we wash the rind. The Chablis has less alcohol. Less alcohol means less water evaporation, and this will allow more creaminess into the paste. And as we're talking about alcohol, if you want to if you don't know what to pair about any of these cheese, please go for a Chablis. I've got here a Chardonnay from Burgundy, similar to Chablis style, and this is just incredible experience. And if you go for a red grape variety, try any Burgundy Pinot Noir, and it always works. So yeah, did you feel the difference in terms of texture?
I love the fact you're heading in with a spoon. So what are we expecting in the differences here? What differences between a Chablis wash and a Marc de Bourgogne wash? What do I taste as a difference?
So you will have more lactic notes on the Chablis one. It will be less meaty, a bit more towards the straws, towards animal character and lactic character. You will have less less of this meaty umami flavor.
I would agree. I am getting less of that umami flavor.
Yeah.
I'm getting a more creamy note. The lactic note, that is correct.
I was prepared. So that's obviously, we didn't talk about it, but the shape is also different. This is a smaller format, 200 grams, and we know that in cheese, shape is not only a matter of, it makes a big difference in the maturation. The smaller the cheese, the quicker the evolution of the maturation will be. So, yeah, that's the case for that. Let me give another. So obviously we talked about wine pairing, Chablis or any Chardonnay from Burgundy work well. Another very nice alliance with the soft ripened cheese family, Époisse or Affidelis, is chocolate. I know you're familiar with it. I got here black chocolate, a Caribbean black chocolate from Verona, and it's got this roasted flavor aroma. And it's unexpected.
Noemie, that's not fair. You did not send me chocolate. I feel how can I participate in this? That's not fair. I want chocolate.
Charlie, I'm just trying to put the basis for 2021. I'm just checking if it's working, so we can repeat that. So let me show you. Very simple. You take a spoon, and by the way, this cheese you want a spoon to enjoy it. So you will just use your chocolate square as a cracker, basically. And I minced here some gingerbread, and I will just sprinkle gingerbread on top of it. So
okay, bring the camera. We need to see this. I'm giving you some screen time here. Hang on a second. Let's get me out of the way. Right, get closer. I think you're gonna have to come around your desk, mate. You're gonna have to go right up to
that. There you go. So I've got my Caribbean chocolate, my creamy, perfect ripened Époisse with some gingerbread mint sprinkled on top of it.
I love that. Ha! Bring that on. Loving it. Okay, so that is your Christmas tip. Courtesy of Tuesday night's cheese night. So what percentage chocolate was that? What percentage dark?
66%.
66. So not full dark, just heading up there. And 66%. So and you went with the Affidelis, didn't you? You went with the Affidelis on that.
Yeah, I did it with Époisse. I prefer it with Époisse because the chocolate is very strong. So I needed the meaty character of the cheese.
I'm going to do that. Now, you said that shape matters, and one of the things you sent me was this little chappy, which is what? I don't know what that is. 90 grams or something?
60 grams.
60 grams. Okay, he's tiny. He's tiny. Oh, look at him.
Yeah, this is a treasure in terms of process and making. Because imagine ripening a soft lactic cheese is very complicated if we wash it. But imagine if the cheese is now 60 grams.
Yeah,
from a technological point of view, it's as we say in French, a prouesse, which is a big challenge. And so it's basically, in terms of taste and flavor, we should find very similar character to Époisse, maybe a bit firmer as well. This one is a bit younger, at least the one I received. But yes, it's basically having the taste of Époisse in a concentrated format of 60 grams.
So you're telling me, if what I'm hearing that right, is in making these small chaps, they have to pay more attention to making sure it retains its structural integrity. So it's a bit more rigid than than an Epoisse.
Yeah, they need to. They need to make it more rigid. They need to. Yeah.
I know lots of people who think they either think they don't like Epoisse or they do, but people in the house don't. So I think this is the Christmas gift, the little 60 grams of Epoisse taste bomb that goes into your Christmas stocking. That's what that's about. Yeah, it comes in that little chappy there. So a little box there, which is nice. I go for that. Let's be eating these.
The Petit Berthaud, which is the name of the, as we said, of the family who literally saved the Epoisse and made the Epoisse what it is nowadays. And as the flavor are developing in my room, I can taste more and more the farmyard and the cow shed. I don't know about you, but I'm really traveling more and more.
Well, on that note, Noemie, thank you for introducing us to so much about the Epoisse, a cheese so many people know about, so many people know so little about. Also, thank you for getting this cheese to me in such good nick. When I used to sell this in my shop, this is the shortest peak of all the cheeses. So obviously cheddars, you've got weeks to sell them. They're going to taste good right through. You know, then it comes down to a brie when you've probably got a week when it's in good nick and the flavor's going to be strong through the week. But at Epoisse, you probably have 48 hours when we used to do our cutting 800 gram bries when it's good. It's got to go out the door. Got to go out the door. And this is the cheese that just when it's eat it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And this has just been so enjoyable for me. I have eaten half my Epoisse. My wife did tell me I'm not allowed to eat, and I've eaten a quarter of my Affaire de Lys, and I've eaten half my taste bomb here. So thorough going over I've given my cheese board. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll come back in the new year.
We'll be back in the new year.
Where do you want to go next? You've taken us to. I mean, is it about time you took us to Normandy?
Yeah, I think we want to go to Normandy. We've kind of said too much already to not go there, so maybe it's the next step. Yeah.
The next stop on the Tour de Fromage with Noemie Richard of Svensia, Maître Fromagère. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Voilà. Merci à toi. À bientôt.
Right, team. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was Burgundy Epoisse, and that is a cheese. That is a cheese. That is no shrinking violet. I absolutely love the Epoisse. As I said, get it right, knocks the socks off. So many other cheeses. Right, what I'm going to say is next week we have Joe Schneider coming on to talk about Stichleton, the rebel Stilton. I'm not even allowed to say that because it's against the rules. The rebel Stilton is coming here. Joe is going to tell us all about what it's like to make a Stilton style cheese with raw milk. We're using all those excellent bacteria to boomph the flavor. Right, after that, we have the Tuesday Night is Cheese Night Academy Cheese Christmas Party. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with that. We haven't thought it all up yet, but we do have a cheese box that you can order from the Fine Cheese Company, so we're all tasting the same thing, and get ourselves a glass of wine and celebrate. I'm not quite sure what there is to celebrate about 2020. Maybe it's the very fact it's coming to an end, and Bleeding Nora, we're going to get a little drunk as we head into New Year, even if it's on our own. Sometimes that's the right thing to do. But 2021 is coming. After that, we'll take a break. Back in the new year. So see you next week for Tuesday Night is Cheese Night. We will be talking Joe Schneider. We will be talking Stichleton. See you then.